And this is going to be the beginning of our hair. So we're going to click here and go into edit mode for that plane. We're going to press S to scale on the x-axis. Then we're going to press S to scale on the z-axis to make this longer, about like that. Left click to lock in. Okay, now we're going to press Ctrl R to put a loop cut in. Then we're going to roll the mouse wheel once, twice, 3 times. Then left click to lock in, left click again to totally lock in. Then we're going to press Ctrl R to put a loop cut down the middle. Left click to lock in, left click again to totally lock in. Okay, now we're going to go to vertice select. We're going to select here, pull up, select here and pull down. Then we're going to go to edge select. We're going to hold Alt select right here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn. Push this out something like that. Okay, I'm going to press A to deselect. And now that we have our basic shape for our hair strand, what we're going to do is click here and go into object mode. Okay, we're about to unwrap this for later. Before we do that, what you want to do is press N to bring up your properties menu. And if you look here, this should be 0, 0, and 0 here. This should also be 0 here. The scale is correct. But to have this set up properly for UV unwrapping, where it won't give us an issue, we don't want these settings here. So that's easily fixed. With this selected, we're going to press Ctrl A. We're going to choose Apply, Location, and watch what happens to the numbers in the location right there. And there you can see it, went to 0. And then we're going to press Ctrl A, Rotation, and the same thing there. So now these numbers are set up. And as I said before, the scale was already set up. So what we're going to do now is click here, go into edit mode. And then here in edit mode, we're just going to press A and then press U, which brings up our UV mapping menu. Then we're going to choose unwrap. Okay, there's one more thing we need to do here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. I'm going to go to vertice select. I'm going to select this vertice right here. I'm going to press Shift S, which brings up our snapping menu or snap menu. I'm going to choose cursor to selected. I'm then going to click here, go to object mode. I'm then going to go to object, transform, origin to 3D cursor. Okay, and by having an origin point there, it should just make this these hair strands easier to deal with. I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate this, move this over here, hold the middle mouse button, drag this forward. I'm going to press R to rotate on the x-axis. You can see it's rotating right from that origin point, which is what we want. So we put it into position in object mode. Press R to rotate on the x-axis here. And press R to rotate on the z-axis. Or rotate on the z-axis a little bit more. Okay, what I'm going to do now is click here to go into edit mode. I'm going to press A to deselect there, A to select everything, Control 2, put a subdivision surface on. I'm going to click right here to make it look like the subdivision surface is applied. I'm going to click here to take the view back to 1. Now I'm going to select here, and I'm going to press O to turn on the proportional editing tool. Okay, now I'm going to press G to see the area of influence. I'm going to press, actually I'm going to left click. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button so we can see what's going on. I'm going to press S to scale. And see, I have that one vertice selected, but because I have the proportional editing, I'm able to taper this down. It's pretty cool. Left click to lock in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. Actually, turn to this side. Okay, now I'm going to press G again, roll the mouse wheel down, pull this while using a proportional edit to stay in control. So we're just going to be hovering, rotating back and forth. Press G. I'm actually going to click here, come back in object mode, select here, and press H to temporarily hide that. I'm going to click back on the hair, click here, go back into edit mode. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. Okay, I'm going to press G, shrink this, pull this down some more. Hold the middle mouse button, turn to the side, press G, push this over some. And I'm going to press G, roll the proportional edit very small. Like so. Now I'm going to go to Alt, I'm going to press, edge select, I'm going to hold, I press hold to turn off the proportional edit. I'm going to hold Alt, select here, just pull up some, just so that this hair has a nice bit of 3D-ness to it. Now I'm just doing it individually because it was not doing exactly what I wanted it to do. Okay, I'm going to hold them in the mouse button. I'm going to press A again. I'm going to press Z. I pressed A again just to select everything. I press Z so we can shade smooth the hair. Now what we're going to do is click here, go to object mode, and we're going to press Shift D, left click to lock in. We're going to press R to rotate on the Z axis. So we have this other piece of hair, somewhat already in the shape. So now we're going to click here, go in edit mode, select inside of this individual piece of hairs, this hair strands, edit mode, so we can press O to turn a proportional editing tool and put this into how we want it to be. Press S to scale on the x-axis. Go to vertices, select. Select here just to get that out, get the manipulator out of the way. Now I click back here. Press G to really small and pull that out some. Now I'm just looking at the 3D-ness of this hair. Okay, I'm going to click here, go to object mode. Okay, now we're going to press Shift D to duplicate this hair strand again. Press R to rotate on the Z axis. Now we're going to select here, and here, and here. Press Shift D. Left click to lock in, R to rotate on the Z axis. The mouse button. Take a look at this. I press R to rotate on the Y axis. I'm just trying to get the top part set up. Now we're going to select this hair strand right here. Click here, go into edit mode. We'll hold Alt, we'll select here. We'll press G, roll our area of influence up and get some positioning on this. Go to face select, pull this down maybe a little bit more. Now we'll press G, roll this in. Give it a little bit of rotation. We'll come up here, go to edge select, pull this up, pull this over a little. This way of doing hair is kind of tedious, but I do like the level of control that it gives you. It's tedious, but you do have a lot of control. I'm going to click here, go back in object mode. I'm going to select this piece of hair right here, click here, go to edit mode, select right here, press G, pull over a little bit, up some, select here, pull this up some. Now hold shift, select here, like that. Grab here, press S to scale in the x-axis. I'm going to press G, pull this down a little bit. Area of influence like that. I'm going to hold Alt and select here. I'm going to press G. Add a little bit more flare there. Okay, so now we're going to, let me try to speed this up. We're going to go to object mode, we're going to select here, go here, kind of like the same deal. A little bit of reshaping here. Zoom in so I can grab. I'm going to press G, pull down some. Press G, shrink the area of influence a little. I'll select, I'll hold Alt. Whoops, select here, press G, pull this in a little bit. Select here, press G, pull this out a little bit. Obviously, the more time you take, the better results you'll get. But sorry, I'm pretty sure this is going to be a decent sized tutorial. So let me try to speed this up a little. So I'm going to scroll down there, or push down there. I'm going to hold Alt. It's interesting when your brain engages how it automatically you start like, you know, not being able to speak as well and stuff like that. It's actually kind of funny. I'm just pushing and pulling hair here. And what we can do now is we'll click here, go to object mode. See that one I don't like, so I'm going to go back to I'm not liking how it's looking. Click here, bend that down, something like that. Select here, here, and here. It's a little better. Okay, and just like when we were dealing with the body, I'm going to click here and go to object mode. When we were dealing with the body, once you have the basic, you know, a little styling there, now you can, you know, start to play a little bit. So we're going to select here, hold shift, select here, 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 and here. Then we're going to press S to scale on the Z axis to make that much longer. I'm going to take this one, press Shift D, left click to lock in, press S to scale, push this forward some, I'm going to click here to go into edit mode, press G. Pull this up. Push this to the side some. Select here. Press G, shrink this down. Select here. I'll shrink the proportional edit tool down to a decent amount so I can gain control here. There's G. Actually, I'm going to hold shift and select here. Press G. There we go. Okay, I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to click here, go back to object mode. I'm going to press R to rotate on the x-axis. Then I'm going to press S to scale. Press R to rotate on the z-axis. Like left click to lock in. Okay, what I'm going to do now is just rotate the view. I'm going to select here, hold shift, select here and here. Roll back a little bit, hold shift and middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to press shift D, left click to lock in. I'm going to press R to rotate on the z-axis. Like that. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm going to select here and here while holding shift. I'm going to press shift D, left click to lock in, R to rotate on the z-axis. Then I'm going to press shift D one more time, R to rotate on the z-axis. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to select here, hold shift, select here, 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 and here, here, here. Hold the middle mouse button, letting go of shift, holding shift again, here, 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 and here. And I'm going to press Control J. Okay, when we pressed Control J, this took all of these different hair strands and made them into one object. The reason why we did that was so that we'll be able to go into sculpt mode and deal with them there, since most of the placement is here. So what we're going to do now is, for now we're not going into sculpt mode yet, we're going into edit mode. And what we're going to do is press A deselect. We're going to grab the hair and manually adjust it so it's closer to her face. So I'm going to hold Alt here. I'm going to click here and turn this to the proportional edit tool. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button just so I can get a better view, and I'm going to press G. Just move this closer to her face. I'm going to hold Alt here, press G. Move that closer to her face. Same as here. We'll actually move side a little. And this right here, we got to deal with these, so it's closer. I'm going to hold Alt, select here, G. Hold Alt, and G. Hold Alt, and G. Move that. Same thing again. And just roll your mouse wheel accordingly. Alt and G. Alt G. Select here. Go to vertice select. Pull these in some. Select here Alt and G. Yeah, I know I'm saying the same thing over and over again, but it is what it is. It's kind of tedious, but by controlling it like we are, we have control over it, and there's power in having that control over it. It being, each strand of hair. So, Alt and G. Alt and G. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to turn. Same thing here. Held Alt, selected there. Hit G. I want to push this to through the ear. Hold Alt. Hold the middle mouse button to turn. G. We'll push this in. Push it back some. Alt, hold the middle mouse button, turn, G, Alt. You can imagine you can make, you can, this is tedious, but you can adjust the hair to make it look like what you want it to look like. Still just selecting Alt, pressing G, Alt, pressing G. Okay, let's grab right here. We're gonna hold Alt, and the nice thing is when we press Alt, it automatically deselects, so we don't have to, keep pressing A to deselect or whatever. Same thing. I'm just pressing Alt, grabbing, pulling down a little bit. I find that you have more control when you do smaller movements. Just hold the middle mouse button and turn. G, Alt, G, Alt, and G. So this one, we're actually gonna hold. Oops. We're gonna hold Shift and Alt. That's how I did that right there. Held Shift and Alt. I just want to move almost the whole thing over. So now I'm just grabbing this one and moving that. Now I'm going to go to vertices, select. And remember, I'm using a connected proportional editing, not the regular proportional editing. That's why I'm able to grab this and move it without these other ones being moved. Okay, let me press the N key to take away that properties panel. Hold the middle mouse button. Back to edge select, I'm going to hold Alt. Take a while, guess what I'm going to say now. G, yep. Alt. and G. Alt. And G. Hold Alt. And G. Alt. Then G. Alt and then G. Oops. Here. I'm gonna hold Alt. Push this down. Hold Alt. Zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. Better anyway. Same thing, just Alt and G. Alt and G. When I did that, I got these intersecting now. Just Alt and G here. There we go. And now I'm just holding the mouse button and look. Let's deal with this right here. So we'll hold Alt right here. G. Alt right here. G. Alt right here. G. Let's grab this. Hold Alt while selecting that line. Shrink this down some and G. hold Alt, G, Alt, G. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is just go around and continue fixing. I'm gonna try to speed this up. I'll press G, pull this down, I'll select here, hold Shift, select here, press G, pull that down, hold Alt, press G, bring this in, oops, hold Alt here, press G, bring that in, hold Alt, press G, bring that in, hold Alt, press G and bring this in, hold Alt, press G, bring that in a little bit, hold Alt, press G, bring that in, hold Alt here, press G, hold Alt, press G and bring in, again and again. Let's hold Alt here, move this to the side some, move it out this way some, select here, just pulling this so it's not intersecting with the face, the eyebrow there. G and shrink down this proportional edit. Alt, select here. Alt. Trying to angle this thing. G. Alt. Yeah, the more time you spend, the better your results will be. See, I'm just rotating, hold the middle mouse button, trying to speed this up a little. Okay, so now let's see, almost do this. Press G, hold this in a little bit. Actually, I'm just selecting now. I'm not pushing Alt. I'm just grabbing the edge here, and it is enough. Okay, so what we're going to do now is take our view of our subdivision surface up to 2. Then we're going to go into sculpt mode, and here and see it says object has not uniform scale. Don't let that get to you. What we're going to do now is click here, go to the inflate tool. We're going to zoom back some, hit F and then pull our cursor to make our area of influence bigger for our brush, and we're just going to inflate this hair some. Try not to get too low you want these to be, you know, points for the most part. So try to stay more towards the top, particularly the top of the head. And this just tends to help. As far as how the hair flows together. Okay. Okay, we're gonna call the hair. Just one last thing. Piece right here. Bug me that's not kind of coming to a point. G. Okay, so I'm going to press A and deselect there. I'm going to click here, go to object mode. Okay, so what are we going to do with this hair after we did all that work on it? We're going to press H and temporarily hide it. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan over. I'm going to hold here. I'm going to left click and drag right on that triangular looking kind of, looks like a triangle with stripes going through it to me, or lines going through it. So I'm going to click here, go to UV image editor. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button and pan, zoom in. We're going to select here, we're going to click here, select edit. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan, shift and the middle mouse button to pan again, press A. And basically we're going to unwrap this. So I learned this from my wife, Susan Arango's tutorial. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we're on edge select. We're going to select here, 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 here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm letting go of shift. I'm holding shift again now. Selecting here, here. Letting go of shift. Hold the middle mouse button again. Now holding shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Now I'm holding shift and just selecting all of this. Taking a look. I'm going to come down to here. Okay, now I'm going to hold shift and alt and select here. I'm going to press Control E, which brings up our edges menu. Then I'm going to choose mark seam. Basically, the reason why you mark seams is so that you can put textures on your mesh, and you want the material to lay out flat. However, when you're dealing with a face, you don't want for the seam to come down in the middle of the face. So by putting this here and putting this line going back down around the neck, it kind of makes the face open up like a mask when you unwrap it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go here. We're going to hold Alt. We have Edge Select on. We're going to hold Shift and Alt and just select all of this area here. And basically what you want to do as far as this is, again, it's thinking like close. So I'm going to press Control E, mark a seam here, and thinking how clothes are kind of put together. If that helps. Okay, so we're with Edge Select still on. We're going to hold Alt, select here, and that selected here, since we changed the geometry here, it didn't go quite all the way around. So we're going to hold Shift and Alt, select here. So now we have that going all the way around there. We're going to press Control E, mark seam. Okay, so next we're going to hold Shift and middle mouse button. We're going to holding Shift, select here. I didn't want that horizontal line, so I'll hold shift and select that. Hold the middle mouse button to turn, holding shift and middle mouse button, keep turning. Here, then I'll press Control E, mark seam. Okay, let me give us a little bit more space here. I'm going to press T to take that away for now. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, zoom out. I'm going to hold shift and middle mouse button to pan up. I'm going to hold Alt and select here. Then I'm going to press Control E. And again, the reason why we're doing this is so we can lay out this mesh flat and put textures on it. Okay, and we're going to make clothes from this mesh. So the clothes should, the seam should go with the clothes. So anyway, we're going to hold Alt, select here. You know what? Let's press A, deselect. We're going to hold Alt and select here. There we go. We'll hold Shift to deselect here. We'll press Control E and choose Mark Seam. Now we'll hold Alt here. We'll press C for paint select. Hold the middle mouse button to deselect those markings there. We'll press Control E, mark seam. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to pan up, roll the mouse button to zoom in. I'm going to press O to turn off the proportional connected proportional editing. I'm going to press O again to turn it off completely. I'm going to hold Alt and select right here. I'm going to hold Shift and Alt and select right here. I'm just trying to get this bottom part. So I'm going to put a seam here. So I'm holding just Shift. Now I'm holding Alt and Shift. Okay, and it looks like we got it. So I'm going to press Control E, mark seam. Okay, now I'm going to press A to deselect with the edge select still on. I'm going to hold Shift and select here and here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to here. I'm going to hold Shift and select here. I let go of Shift, held the middle mouse button, turn. Now I'm holding Shift again. So I have these two marked and I have a seam going up the back there. So I'm going to press Control E, mark seam. Okay, what we're going to do now is hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to zoom back, hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Zoom in here. I'm actually going to change the geometry here. So I'm going to press Control R, put a loop cut right here, left click to lock in, left click again to totally lock in. Okay, in that seam that we just made, we're going to use that to also put our mark seam down there. So we're going to press Control E, which brings up our edges menu. We're going to choose mark seam. Okay, now we're going to roll the mouse wheel, zoom in. We're going to hold Alt, select here. We just selected that entire loop going around the wrist of the hand there. We're going to press Control E, then mark seam, then press A to deselect. And now I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to turn to the side and hold the middle mouse button, turn to the side a little bit more. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. And what I'm going to do now is with edge select still on is I'm going to looking for where I want this to come down. Just thinking about what I'm going to do later as far as close. So I'm actually going to select here, hold Shift, select here, 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 and here. Then I'm going to press Control E, choose mark seam. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, and you can see right here, we need the seam to actually go up here and come up to here, and we're missing that spot right there. So we're going to hold Shift, select here, press Control E, choose Mark Seam, just like before, and press A to deselect. Okay, and we should be good as far as our seams, as far as marking our seams. And one of the ways that you can tell that you have marked the seams correctly is if I hover my mouse here and I'm on face select, if I press L here, see how it just grabs this area? So it's grabbing the area in between the seams, this one area, and that's how we want it to be. So I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to press L and select here. And the same thing, it's grabbing like we want. We want the top part of the hand here, so I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to press L here, and you can see it grab the top part of the hand. I press A to deselect. L here is grabbing the bottom part of the hand. Hold the middle mouse button to turn, shift the middle mouse button to pan right here. And it looks good. You know, so far everything looks like it's supposed to look. So I'm going to press A to deselect. So yeah, you can just check just by hovering your mouse, pressing L, 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 you know, and so forth. So I'm going to press A to deselect. So what we're going to do now is start making our clothes. And one thing kind of cool with having the seams marked is as far as selection, as long as we're on face select, I can press here, press L, and just grab this whole, you know, selection area right there. Now I also want more geometry, so I'm going to press C with face select on and select this right here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn. I'm going to press C and paint select more right here. Right click to get out of paint select. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn towards the front. I'm going to press C for paint select. I'm still on face select, which is what you want to be on. I'm going to select all this area right here. I'm going to right click to get out of paint select. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn. I'm going to press C for paint select and select right here. Right click to get out. Rotating just to make sure I have what I need there. Okay, what we're going to do now is press the Y key, then left click to lock in. What that did was that separated this geometry from this geometry. Now what you want to do is press Alt S. Now watch what happens if I just press Alt S and I pull. See that right there? I'm going to right click to get out of there. So what you can do, so you have finer control, is you can press Alt S. All I did was press Alt S. I didn't left click or anything else, right? Now I am holding Shift. So now as I pull, I have finer control over the scaling. I'm going to left click to lock in. Okay, I'm going to roll the mouse wheel in. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Right here, this vertice is intersecting with the mirrored side of the vertice, and you don't want that. So what you can do is temporarily turn off clipping, go to vertice select, select that vertice that looks like one, so you're selecting right in the center there. Then you're just pulling to the side a little, and then you're going to turn clipping right back on. Okay, I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back, and just so you understand exactly what's going on, when I separated this, underneath this there is nothing. There's no geometry underneath this, and there doesn't really need to be, as long as this character is going to be wearing these clothes. Now if you wanted to make interchangeable clothes, I would recommend, instead of you separating when you made that selection, you would just press Shift D, duplicate the geometry, and then deal with that. But for what we're doing here, we just separated it because this character is going to be wearing clothes. So anyway, what we need to do now is the geometry here is set up for the character's body. We don't need all of this geometry and all of this detail because of the kind of clothes that the character is wearing. So grid fill is going to help us out a lot. However, because this has a mirror modifier on here, that's going to cause us issues. So one of the ways we can deal with that is we can press L here, press L, L, and the reason why it's selecting in groups like that, remember, is because of the seams that we put on. So I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, turn back, make sure that we have everything that we want selected, which we do. Now what we're going to do is press P to bring up our separate menu. Then we're going to choose selection. So basically what just happened was the geometry that we just selected is now a separate object from this object right here that we've been working on. So now I'm going to click here and go to object mode, select this now separate object, and then come into its edit mode right now. Okay, so now that we have that done, what we're going to do is first we're going to make sure we're on face select. We're going to select here all of this here, as you can see in the front. I'm going to right click to get out of that selection. Okay, what we're going to do is zoom in, hold shift in the middle mouse button to pan, zoom in some more, hold shift, select right here, hold shift in the middle mouse button to pan. Select right there. We're going to zoom to the side to make sure we don't have something like this here. So I'm going to holding shift, I'm going to left click to deselect that. Holding the middle mouse button to turn back to the front. Okay, and basically we're going to delete these faces and then use grid fill to replace the deleted faces. However, because there's a mirror modifier on here and this is actually a virtual side, it'll cause issues with grid fill. So what we're going to do is click here, go to object mode. Here's our mirror modifier. We're going to apply it, which means that this virtual side is now a real side. We're going to click here, come back to edit mode. We're going to press X to bring up our delete menu, choose faces, and we're then going to go to edge select. We're going to hold Alt, select here, then press Control F and choose grid fill. Okay, and hopefully you can see the grid fill did an excellent job right there. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back, and I'm going to press A to deselect. Now we're going to do a similar work on a geometry right here. However, what we want to do is I want to put a clothing line going up here, and I want, for when I delete this geometry here, then replace it with grid fill, I want the grid fill to recognize that the new line. So we're going to do that first. So what I'm going to do is press Control R and then left click to lock in, left click again to totally lock in, and now we have our line. Now for it to be a clothing line, we want to have 3 lines right next to each other. Now we could press Control R, and then move the loop cut and then Control R or roll it. However, Blender has a simpler way for us to deal with this. Okay, so I'm going to press T to bring out our tools panel. Now what I'm going to do is bevel this. The way I'm going to do that is I am going to, right here, because we put our loop cut in, we can see here's our loop cut options. I'm going to bevel it. Now when I bevel it by hitting Control B, basically what's going to happen is the bevel loop, the bevel tool options will pop up here. So what we're going to do is with this line selected, we're going to press Control B, pull slightly, and you can see now we have 2 lines. The bevel, basically it's almost like it put another loop cut right here. We want to have 3 lines in here, so we can do that easily just by clicking here. So now we have our 3rd line there, which is what we wanted. Okay, so now that we have our geometry set up for there, we're going to press A to deselect. We're going to go to face select. We're going to press C for paint select. We're going to select all of this right here. I'm going to right click to get out of that. I'm going to press X to bring up our delete menu. I'm going to choose faces to delete. I'm going to go to edge select, hold Alt. Then I'm going to press Control F to bring up our faces menu. Then I'm going to choose grid fill. And grid fill filled up the geometry here, and it also took into account the new geometry that we just put right there, which is what we wanted. Okay, so I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn to the side. I'm going to press S to scale this down a little, push it out a little like that. Press S to scale down a little bit more. Not too much. So click here to go to object mode to take a look at it. I don't want it looking flat. So I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button, a pan. Select right here. I'm going to press G and then Y. Push that out some. Here to go back to object mode to take a look, and that's better. We can always tone it down later on. So let's go back to edit mode. Okay, now what we're going to do is press A to deselect. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to go to edge select. I'm going to hold Alt so to select that edge. I'm going to hold Alt S. Push up. Out here to see how that looks. I don't want it to be too much. Alt S. That's adjusted. And that's fine how that is. So we're going to click here, go back to edit mode. And what we're going to do now is go to our navigation tab. Right here, we're going to select front. We're in front ortho right there. Okay, what we're going to do now is press A for deselect. We're going to press Z to go to wireframe mode. We're going to press right here to choose face select. We're going to press B for box select. We're going to come right to that center line right there to grab this half of the geometry here. We're going to press X to bring up our delete menu. We're going to choose faces to delete. We're going to click here and select mirror for a mirror modifier, and we're going to turn on clipping. We have our subdivision surface currently above our mirror modifier. Click here, go to solid mode, and we don't want that. We want the mirror modifier to be up above the subdivision surface modifier because it works down as far as how things are affected. So we can move this up above just by selecting here. And then now we have our geometry and our clothing line on that side as well as the other side. Okay, now we're going to zoom back in. Hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. And we're going to go to edge select. Select this edge right here. I'm going to temporarily turn off the subdivision surface. I'm going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in, pull out this piece of geometry here. Press E to extrude, left click to lock in, pull out another piece right here, like that. Then I'm going to press S to scale. I'm going to go right to here and hold Alt while selecting here. I'm going to press Alt S. Scale this up some like that. Push that back some. Then I'm going to click here so it looks like our subdivision surface is back on. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to click here, go to object mode. With this selected, we're going to go to our mirror modifier and get rid of it. Also get rid of our subdivision surface. We're going to hold shift, select here. Then we're going to press Control J. And basically what we did was we recombined this clothing back to the original object, and since it already had a subdivision, mirror modifier on it and the subdivision surface, when we added it back, it just applied it, to the mesh and geometry that we were, adding to it. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to click here to go to edit mode, and I'm going to hold shift and middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to put a loop cut right here, so I'm going to press Control R, left click to lock in, left click again to totally lock in. I'm going to rip this right here, and that means I'm going to separate just this edge from the geometry underneath. It's very useful for making clothes. And if I want to have, depending on where my mouse is, depends on what I can pull after I rip it. So if I put my mouse here, which is where I want it, when I rip it, I'll be able to, just scale the geometry down. If I have it underneath and I rip it, rip the geometry, I'll be able to move this. So you'll put your geometry here, you'll press V, left click to lock in, then you'll press as the scale. I'm just going to push this down some. I'm actually going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in, push this down some, press E to extrude, left click to lock in, scale in slightly here. Okay, so now we have this geometry here, which is actually separate from this as well. So what I'm going to do is press L, okay, I was wondering why it selected everything. It's because I was on edge select instead of face select, which is fine. It's selecting everything like that. And I'm going to press Alt S. I'm going to hold Shift to find adjustments. Don't worry about that connecting part right now. Take this up some like this. Left click to lock in. For this right here, we'll temporarily turn off clipping. We'll go to vertices select. Select the merge vertices right there because this is actually a virtual side. So as long as this clipping is off, we can just pull it and then turn the clipping back on just like we did before. Okay, and basically what we're going for here, I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Click here to go to object mode. Is that this is a separate piece of clothing from here. So these are going to be pants, these are going to be boots, these are going to be gloves. And then we're going to use a normal map to put wrinkles in this clothing. That's the plan. So I'm going to click here, go to edit mode. I'm going to zoom back in. I'm going to hold Shift and middle mouse button to pan, zoom in more. We also want a belt right here. So I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, and for the belt, we're just going to go to edge select. We're going to hold Alt. We're going to select right here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to look to the side. I'm going to press Shift D, left click to lock in. I'm going to press S to scale, and left click to lock in there. Okay, now with that belt there, what we're going to do is press E to extrude, left click to lock in. We'll drag this up. I'm going to hold L. I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis to drag it out a little bit, S to scale on the Y axis to bring it in some. Push it forward a little bit like that. And see how the shading looks strange here? Let me show you this. I'm going to press N to bring up our properties menu. Normals are basically the direction that your faces are flowing. Are facing. So when you see shading like this, typically the normals aren't facing towards you. The way you can know for sure is if you open up your properties menu and look for backface culling. When I click this, the normals that aren't facing towards us are going to go transparent. You can see that right there. So what I'm going to do now with this still selected is I'm going to press Control N, which is going to recalculate the normals. And now the normals are facing towards us, and you can see that it looks right and nothing's transparent. So this backface culling, I'd heard numerous people talk about it before. I didn't quite understand it, but now I can see that it is very useful. So I'm going to press N to take that properties menu away now. Okay, and with this selected, what I'm going to do is press Shift H, which means hide everything but this. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to go to edge select. I'm going to hold Alt here. Then I'm going to hold Shift and Alt here. Now what I'm going to do is change our pivot point from the Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point, to individual origins. I'm going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. Then I'm going to press S to scale. And the reason why I did that is if I left the pivot point on and I scaled it in, basically what would happen was it would scale in, but it tends to scale like down, and I just wanted to scale actually in, so that's why I did that. Now we're going to zoom in here. I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, and I actually want this to be a hard line right here, so I'm going to hold Alt, select here, press Control B. pull slightly, left click to lock in. Now my bevel options pop up over here. I'm going to change this to 2 segments and then click here and change this from 0.500 to 1. Then left click to lock in. I'm going to hold Alt, select here, press Control B, pull slightly, left click to lock in, and the settings still stay the same as far as that. As far as this edge that we made right here, I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, what I'm going to do now is hover my mouse here, hold L, I'm going to press Z and select Shade Smooth. Now I'm going to press Alt H to bring back the hidden geometry. And then now our belts, they're in place. Okay, now I'm going to go here, I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Select here, I'm going to hold Alt. I'm going to press S to scale. I'm going to press S to scale on the Y axis. Press S to scale again. Now I'm going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in, S to scale. Push down just a little. Okay. Okay, now we're going to put some wrinkles in. These aren't going to be the main wrinkles, but they're going to, be kind of around where we set up for our normal maps to do our wrinkles. I'm going to press Control R here, roll the mouse wheel about 4 times, left click to lock in. I'm going to press Control R here, roll the mouse wheel about 3 times. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just take edge select. I'm going to push these down. And basically what I'm trying to do is simulate wrinkles. Click here, go into object mode, and it's not bad. Come here, round to the back, edge select. Object mode just to take a look. Too much there, so we'll pull this up some. Sometimes I select other objects just to get the manipulator out of the way. Okay, I'm gonna click. Let me change this pivot point back to Blender's default pivot point, which is medium point. I'm gonna hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, and I'm gonna hold Alt, push this down some. Zoom in. Push this down. Pull that in. The same thing here. I'm still learning how to do my wrinkles. I'm hoping to look back on this in a while and say, oh, that's how I did it then. I'm so much better now. It's my hope. Okay, so I'm going to click here, go to edit mode. Okay, I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button. I'm going to go to phase select. I'm going to select here and here. Straighten up these boots a little bit. Go to edge select. I'm going to select here, pull out to the side some there. Select here, pull out to the side some there. Select here, pull this up some. And what we're going to do here is we want to put a sole. So we're going to press Control R to put a loop cut in. We're going to left click here, pull down some, we're going to left click again. Now we're going to press S to scale on the Z axis 0, straighten it out, push it down some more. We're going to press Control B to bevel. Left click to lock in. I'm going to take this up to 2. Take this up to 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in, hold Alt, select here. Now I'm going to press Alt S. And left click to lock in. Zoom back. I'm going to press L to select here, L. Just need the top part of this, so I'm going to press Shift H. Get that to the other geometry temporarily disappear. I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to make sure I'm on edge select. I'm going to hold Alt. I'm going to select, well, I'm already selected. I'm going to press E to extrude. I'm going to press S to scale. I'm going to press E to extrude again. I'm going to push straight down. See that strange shading? Remember we talked about before, the normals facing the wrong direction. I'm going to press Alt S, push this out to the side some, and I'm going to select this line right here. Then I'm going to press V to rip it. Now I'm going to go to face select. I'm going to hold Alt, select here, hold Shift and Alt, select here. Now I'm going to press Control N to recalculate the normals. That didn't work. If that doesn't work, pressing Control N, what you can do is press W, which brings up your specials menu, then choose flip normals, and that should give you what you want. And again, normals are just the direction that the polygons are actually facing. I'm going to press Alt H to bring back the rest of our geometry. I'm going to press A to deselect. Hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan down. Okay, I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to temporarily turn off the subdivision surface. I'm going to hold Alt. I'm going to go to Edge Select first. Then hold Alt, pull this down just a little. I'm going to press Control R, put a loop cut here, move that up some. I'm going to press Alt S. And what I want is a little bit of a bunch up right here next to the belt. I'll push this up some. I'll hold Alt, push this up some. I'll press Control R here, then Control R here. Press, oops, right click to get out of it, S to scale. Same thing here. I'll press Control R, put a loop cut in, pull this down a little bit, press S to scale. Press Control R. Push that down some, hold Alt, select here, maybe push this out some more. Now let's turn our subdivision surface back on. Hold Shift. Push this a little bit. Push that out some. This up to deal with that. Out some. Click here to go to object mode. Take a look. Okay. Okay, and the gloves are going to be right here. So I'm going to click here, go back to edit mode. We kind of want the same thing here. So I'm going to press Control R to put a loop cut in. Move it up just slightly. Temporarily turn off the subdivision surface. I'm going to press S to scale. I'll press Control R to put another loop cut in. Press S to scale. Press Control R to put another loop cut in. S to scale. Now I'll turn the subdivision surface back on. Grab some of these here. Oops. Control Z, adjust this. You kind of push that up there like that. And you push this out, kind of like almost push that over there. Because the glove is going to be coming right up to here. Put a loop cut in here. That's the scale there. Pull that somewhere. We'll click here, go to object mode. Okay, let's go back to edit mode. I'm going to go right here. I'm going to hold Alt and select right here. I'm going to press V to rip. Left click to lock in. That just puts a a sharp, hard line right there because this is the glove and this is the fabric material here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, I'm going to hold Alt, select here, press Control B. Pull slightly, left click to lock in. I'm going to take the segments up to 2, then click here and change this from 0.500 to 1, then left click to lock in. Okay, what we're going to do now is press A to D select. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to make sure I'm on edge select, which I am. I'm going to hold Alt, I'm going to select this edge right here. I'm going to press W, go to Loop Tools, and where W brings up our Specials menus. Now we're going to Loop Tools, Circle. And that just, makes this circular very quickly. We're going to pull this up, press S to scale this in a little. Then I'm going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in, S to scale. I'm going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in, push straight down. I'm going to hold, I'm going to go to face select. I'm going to hold Alt right here. Oops, I'll select right here. Just let me grab that whole loop of faces there. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to hold Shift and the Alt button. Select right here. I'm going to press Control N for recalculate normals. Nothing happened, so we'll go to W for our specials menu, and then we'll choose flip normals. Okay, we're going to temporarily turn off our subdivision surface again. And what we're going to do is press A to D select, hold Alt. I'm going to go to edge select, select here. I'm going to press S to scale. This up a little bit higher. Now we're going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in, push this down like that. And what we're going to do is go to face select, hold Alt, select here. We'll press S to scale on the Y axis. Pull that back some. Now we'll turn this back on and take a look. So what we're going to do is go here, select this, hold Shift, select this because this is sticking out kind of far. We're going to press Alt to turn on our proportional editing tool, hold the middle mouse button to turn, and press G to move on the Y axis just to push this back some like that. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, turn to the back. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to press A to D select. I'm going to select this edge right here. I have connected proportional editing turned on, so I'm going to press G to move on the Y axis just to push this in some. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and turn back to the front. Select here, press G and Y to push in some. Press G then Z to push up some. Okay, now I'm going to press with edge select on. I'm going to select here. I'm going to press Control B, pull slightly, change this to 2, click here, change this to 1. Okay, and believe it or not, we are close to, much closer to being finished. Okay, what we have to do now is click here, go to edit, I'm going to hold Shift. When we created this new geometry, we lost our seams here, so we're going to click here, hold Shift, roll the mouse wheel in, hold Shift while selecting these edges here. Then we're just going to press Control E for mark seam, Hold the middle mouse button to turn to the back. Same thing. We'll select here. Hold shift and middle mouse button to pan. Here, 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 and here. Press Control E. Mark seam. Press A to deselect. Okay, now what we're going to do is hold the middle mouse button, turn to the side. See this right here, this new geometry, we had put the seam on there, right? So what we need to do is to make sure we're on edge select. Next we're going to press this connected proportional editing tools on. I'm going to press O, then press O again to turn that off. I'm going to hold Alt, select here. I'm going to press Control E, and just like we marked the seam before, this time we're going to clear the seam. So I'm going to press A to deselect there. I'm going to hold Alt, select here, Shift. Just looking around at that line. Looks like we got all of it, so I'm going to press Control E, then put Mark Seam. I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, with Edge Select still on, we're going to hold Alt, we're going to select right here, we're going to press Control E, we're going to choose Clear Seam, I'm going to press A to deselect. Now I'm going to press Alt, select, let me zoom in, I'm going to select right here, right on the edge. I'm going to press Control E and choose Mark Seam. Press A to deselect. Now I'm going to press and hold Alt and select here. Press Control E and choose Mark Seam. Okay, now what we're going to do is, well, I want to explain something first. If you've seen some of my tutorials before, normally I'll put materials on the character meshes that I work on. I mentioned before that my wife, she normally does the texturing and UV mapping, and to be honest, I didn't have much of an interest in it, doing it myself, because I said I tend to like more stylish or anime or cartoonish characters, so I was fine with using materials for most of the colors. However, I did learn about using ambient occlusion, and ambient occlusion tends to make it seems like almost everything just look a lot better. So with that, I got a much bigger interest in texturing, and that's what we're about to do now, is to put in ambient occlusion map on this. Okay, what we're going to do is click here, go to object mode, we're going to press Alt H to bring the hair back. We're going to select this, we're going to press M, we're going to move this to this layer here. To set up the ambient occlusion is fairly easy. What we're going to do is we're going to get rid of that light, but first, see the size of the camera compared to our character. Our character is fairly big, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Shift C, right? This is a decent way to resize your character when you have multiple elements. So we have the hair, we have the eyes. Zoom in. Okay, we have the eyes, and we have our character. So normally if we scaled on the medium point, most likely everything wouldn't scale together. However, what we can do is we can change the pivot point from Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point, to the 3D cursor. Now when we press S to scale, everything will scale down, including our eyes and hair, and maintain its its distance from from the other objects around it. So I'm going to click here and change this back to the medium point. Okay, so we have our seams in our different objects. So what we're going to do now is with this mesh selected, we're actually going to click here and select apply. So now that mirror modifier is applied. Now we're going to, and because we had the mirror modifier on there, the seams that were on this side, that were virtually put on this side, are now still applied to the entire model. So we're going to click here, go to edit mode. This is selected here, so we'll press A to deselect that. Now we'll press A to select everything, then we'll press U, and then select unwrap. Okay, so here are UVs. I'm going to press A so you can kind of see what's going on, and it looks like it did a pretty decent job. I'm going to press A. I'm going to go to UVs. I'm going to select average island scales. Now be prepared because it's going to look wild for a second. So there it goes. I'll just go right back to UVs, and then I'll select pack islands, and now our UVs are packed and take up a little bit more uh, space in I would think, a better way now. Okay, so now that we have our UV here, now we need an image to put our ambient occlusion on. So what we're going to do is click here. We'll name this AO for ambient occlusion. We can pick our settings for our resolution here. If you want a little bit more detail, you might want to put this up to 2048 for each one. I'm fine for how it is here. You can either pick a color, or you can click here and click something like the color grid. And the color grid is, you'll see it's a colorful. It has numbers, letters on your UV map, and it kind of like lets you see how well your character is unmapped. So I'm going to choose the color grid and select OK. Now I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back some. Okay, so there's the color grid there. Now I'm going to click here, go to object mode. I'm going to zoom back. I'm going to select this light. I'm going to press X to delete that light. Now I'm going to zoom in, select back on the character mesh, click here, go to edit mode. And one of the things you have to do is you want to make sure that you save this. When you save your Blender file, you are not saving your image here. And most of the time, a lot of art programs in general, they link files rather than embed the file. So basically, the program is looking towards another file, and a lot of times it's good for saving space, and I believe that's what's happening here. So you're gonna hear me talk about my wife a lot as I make this, because she taught me a lot of this stuff. And one of the things she taught me was this image that has a little asterisk sign. That means that your image is not saved. So we're going to click on an image. We're going to click Save As. I'm going to create a new directory, and I'm going to call this AO for ambient occlusion. I'm going to name this character main mesh AO. Then I'm going to save that image. Now you can see a little asterisk is gone. So now we're basically safe because we have this image. Blender, a lot of times what happens is when you have something like an image here and then you shut Blender and then open it up, sometimes it won't be there. So you would definitely make sure you save this image here. And if you're following along, you have saved it now. So let's move on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click here, go to object mode. We're going to select our world settings. We're going to go down to ambient occlusion, put a check mark here, put a check mark in environmental lighting for where it says factor for ambient occlusion. We're going to click here. We're going to select 0.25 and then left click to lock in. Okay, and now we're going to scroll down a little bit more. We're going to change this sample from 5 to 10, and this basically the reason why we did that is so that our ambient occlusion will look a little bit more clear and less grainy. So with our main character mesh selected, we're going to go to the render button. We're going to scroll down. We're going to go to bake. Bake is a fancy way for saying combining multiple things together in 3D, kind of like baking a cake. See where it says bake full render? You're going to click here. You're going to select ambient occlusion. Okay, and now you're just going to select bake. And you can see the bake meter here, texture baking. You can see the UV being formed here. With our ambient occlusion, if you're like, what the heck is ambient occlusion? Ambient occlusion basically helps fill in shadows, and long story short, it makes your models look, in my opinion, dramatically better as far as their colors and just the general look of the model. Okay, and just like we saved before, see there's the asterisk sign next to the image. We click image. save as image. So we have character main mesh. I'm going to call it the same thing. We're just going to say actual AO. Since this actually is the ambient occlusion, we'll select save as, and now you can see the asterisk is gone. So now we have that saved. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to select on the hair. We're going to go to edit mode. This right here, we have this image saved, so you don't have to be concerned about this. I'm hovering my mouse wheel here, and I'm rolling the mouse wheel back, which is letting this scroll to the side. I'm going to select X to get rid of it, and I got rid of it from here because we have that image, saved. So, okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to press A to select the hair, and because we had the first hair strand, and we unwrapped that one, and then we duplicated it. We duplicated the unwrap with it, if that makes sense to you. So, while this looks like one hair strand, this is actually all of the hair strands. Okay, and while this is all of the hair strands, we don't want this to be them just being on top of each other, which is basically what's going on. So Blender has a nice way of dealing with that. We just go to UV, and then we select Pack Islands, and now you can see they're all laid out, and that's what you want. Okay, so now we need an image to put the ambient occlusion on, so we're going to select New. We're going to click here, put in hair, AO. And I will leave the settings, 1024 by 1024. We'll click here, change this to a color grid. Not that it matters too much, but just to be consistent. Then we'll select OK. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back. Okay, so we'll select image. You can see there's the asterisk there saying it's not saved. We'll select save as image. And it's already hair AO, so we'll click save as image. So then we'll click here, we'll go to object mode, and with the hair selected and with it still in ambient occlusion, we'll select bake. And you can see there's our texture bake meter right here telling us, basically showing us what's going on, and it's done. Okay, so you can see there's that asterisk image again. So we're going to click here, select save as image. Just like before, we'll just put in actual AO for ambient occlusion. Click save as. Okay, now I'm going to hover my mouse here, move this over a little bit here. And now what we want to do now is put some wrinkles in our clothes, particularly right here. So what we're going to do is select on the character mesh. We're going to press Shift D. I'm going to move to the side just so I know it's duplicated. I'm going to right click to get it to come right back. I'm then going to press M and then move to this layer here. This is our layer panel here. The darkened layer is the layer that we're currently on, and here's our duplicate layer here. And basically wherever an object is, whenever you have an object on a layer, it'll show you, a dot. Like I believe this is where I put the hair strand at. So currently we're going to select this layer right here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to go to our modifier panel. We're going to turn off our subdivision surface. And we're going to click here and we're going to add a multi-resolution modifier. Now the multi-resolution modifier works by subdivision. So we're going to subdivide this up to 4. Okay, and with this mesh selected, if you look up here, you can see how many triangles we have. So this gives you an idea of how much geometry having 4 subdivisions, what having 4 subdivisions is doing to this geometry. That's a lot of triangles there. So the reason why we did that was so that we can click here and come into scope mode. So now we're going to go up to our tool panel. We're going to click here and we're going to select crease. Now crease tends to work very well for creating wrinkles. Typically I believe crease's default is subtract. You want to select add. Okay, also we want to increase the strength of the crease tool. At least that's my way of doing it. So when we pull out, we can see that here's the strength right here. So we're going to take this up to about a little bit more than halfway. So now we're going to zoom in, hold shift and my mouse button, the pan. I'm going to press F, push in, which allows me to control the size of this. If I press F and push out, I can make it bigger. So I'm going to press F and push in and make it smaller. So the area like this is basically, it's going to be, the point of tension is right around here. So we want the wrinkles kind of like coming away and going towards there. So for now, what we're going to do is go like this. Strength might be a little bit too much. I'll tame that down a little. Okay, so yeah, we want wrinkles there. We want kind of like a bunched up wrinkles here that we can add to here. And I'm still learning as far as wrinkles. If you, some of you guys, you champions that made it this far into this tutorial, if you showed me, you know, I would love to see you guys work. Okay, so we want to have, you know, tension lines here. So kind of like these curving here. Strength a little bit more there. Maybe I'll shrink the brush. Put some like here. And basically, you see how our wrinkles are right now exactly the same. Let's go to options or tools actually. Let's scroll down. Sorry. Let's go to symmetry lock, and this right here has it so sculpting automatically is mirroring to the other side. Let's unclick this so that now we can, you know, have lines that are, you know, non-symmetrical. So I figure some lines there. Figure around here. Places where there's, you know, tension here. Put some here. Some here. Put some right here. Okay, let's take this around back to the front. Those wrinkles. A few right there, maybe. Right here as well. Some under here. We should be able to smooth some of this out. Yeah, like I said, I'm still learning. It's very cold to me though. Extremely, I think it's extremely cold that you can, put this kind of detail in. And see, typically I make things to animate. So as far as, sculpting, I didn't have a whole lot of interest before I understood more about normal maps, because I'm always thinking about render time or often thinking about render time as far as animation. With normal maps, you can actually fake the high geometry and still be able to animate. So yes, I have extreme interest now in having wrinkles and all kinds of other cool stuff. So anyway, we're gonna scroll up. We're going to click here. We're going to go to our smooth brush. You want to make sure that it's not at full strength or half strength. You want to make it, somewhere around here. I have it 0.58 for mine. I'm going to press F, pull back, and I'm just going to soften the wrinkles that we put in. If you guys, have some tips for me with these wrinkles and shaping them, I look forward to hearing what you have to offer. I've learned a lot from the users on the viewers of this channel. Learned a whole lot from some stuff I searched for, and lo and behold, I actually ended up finding out about it from people telling me in comments. Pretty cool. So yeah, if you want to get rid of wrinkles like these right here, look kind of strange to me, so I just increase the strength, and you can rub those wrinkles out. So if you put some in, you don't like them, you want to take them out, smooth will take those wrinkles right out for you. I'll lower the strength back down. Went right back to 0.58, which I like for the strength of that smooth tool. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down, make sure we have this name. So I double clicked here. I'm going to name this detailed. I'm going to select here to go back to the original mesh. I'm going to select here. And it's currently named cube since that's what it started as. I'm going to name this basic. Press enter. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to select this layer right here, select our detailed mesh, press M, which brings up our move to layer panel. I'm going to select the first layer, so now I'm going to select layer 1 again. You can see them both together there. I am going to temporarily hide the detailed layer. I'm going to select this layer here, for this basic model. I'm going to click here, go to edit mode. I'm going to get rid of this because we already have that saved. I'm going to select X. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to select new. I'm going to name this normal map. This is just for me. As far as I know, Blender doesn't know, as far as applying a normal map, what this is. It's just a name for us. We're going to click here, go to color grid like before, and select OK. So there's our color grid there. So now we're going to select image, save image as, and I was already working in here before. So I'm going to save this right over the normal map there. And what we're going to do now is we're going to zoom back, click here, go in object mode. Okay, now what we're going to do is unhide the detailed version of our character. We're going to press A to deselect everything. We're going to go to the render setting. We're going to scroll down to bake. We're going to change this from ambient occlusion to normals. Scroll down a little bit more. You want to make sure that your normal space is set up for tangent, which I believe is default. You want to put a check mark next to selected to active. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to press A to select everything, A again to make sure that nothing is currently selected. You're going to select the detailed mesh, hold shift, and then this is very important that you select the basic mesh second. And then now with that selected and making sure that you have a check mark next to selected to active, which is, I believe is what's making us have the ability to, take the detail from the detailed mesh down to the basic mesh. Okay, and now you're just going to go and press bake. You can see your meter going here, showing us, the progress. Okay, and there's our normal map. So what we're going to do is go to image, select save as image, and that was working earlier, so I'm just going to select actual normal map and save over that. Okay, as far as our detailed mesh, we could either delete this or just move it to another layer. So for now, I'm just going to select M and move it to another layer. Okay, and since we have this saved, just like before, we're going to click here to delete that from here, but we still have it saved. So we're going to select on our character mesh right here. We're going to click here, and then we're going to select texture paint. Okay, the reason why you see this color looking like this is you have to be in your tools panel and click add paint slot. Click here, select the fuse color. Right now it's named material diffuse color, which is fine. We'll click here. Take this up. And I think I want a tan color, a green color. I think I want a tan color. So I'm going to select OK. So we see here's the color here. And the reason why you don't see it is you want to click here and you see it says material diffuse color there. So we click there and there it goes. Okay, so what you want to do is click image and then save as, and this will be material diffuse color, and I was working with this already, so it's there, so I'll just save over it. So now you have that material diffuse color saved. Okay, so what you want to do is scroll down, make sure your strength is all the way up. I want the gloves and the boots to be black. So I'm going to, here's our main color right here, by the way, that white. So I'm going to pull this down to about like that. I'm going to press F to shrink the brush. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel in to zoom in. And I'm going to start here. If you see that kind of spotty look, holding shift to the middle mouse buttons, you can see it. You can click, go to options, scroll down, and uncheck occlude, cull, and normal. So now when I paint, you can see that it doesn't do that anymore. And what we're going to do is just hold shift the middle mouse button to pan, is just start up here. Here. Okay, now that we can see right here, what we can do is roll the mouse wheel here. See where it says view here? You can click here, select paint, and continue painting here. I'm going to zoom in with the middle mouse button pan to make it easier. So we're kind of just using where the black color's at as a guide. Paint the boots and the gloves. Hold the middle mouse button to pan. Just painting all this in. Painting it in. Now we'll zoom back, take a look. Pretty good. Okay, we can look right here, and I know that that is her face. So I'm gonna scroll up, select tools. Pick a color, zoom in. Hold the middle mouse button to pan. We'll just start painting right here. You can zoom in here and see that we got face pretty decently like that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is go to image, save image, and this is material, color, diffuse. We're going to click here, go back to object mode, and now what we're going to do is we're actually going to click here, go to edit mode. I'm going to close this because we don't need that. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to pan. About to say shift the middle mouse button, but over here it's just the middle mouse button. I'm gonna select UV and then choose export UV layout. So I'm making a new folder, UV layout. Character mesh, just UV layout /1. And basically what this did was it just gave me this UV as a PNG. And the reason why we did that is this tutorial's been going on and on. I figured it'd be actually easier and hopefully quicker to just take it into Photoshop. So I'm gonna select here, hold Control L to select just this. I'm gonna hold L to select that and L to select that. I'm gonna select L to select that, and I wanted to put colors on here. So now I know that wait a second. Let me see something. I press. Okay, so I know that this is the belt right here. I right click to get out of paint, select. That's what I was just doing there. So push back. So now what I can do is I can select UV, export UV layout. Then I can put just color and belt UV. Export this layout, and we have those layouts. So something else we have to do is we're going to click here, go to object mode. We're going to select one eye. We never unwrapped we did unwrap the eye, but we never we never actually, we set up the seams, I should say. We never did a unwrap on this. I'm going to press U, select unwrap. So here's the eye layout. So for this, I'm going to select new, name it eye, color, layout. That kind of color. I'm going to select OK. So now I'll just go here, select image, save as eye color layout. And I'll also select UV, export UV layout. I'll select here, eye, UV layout. Sorry. Cap lock. Eye, UV layout. Export that. Okay, and what we're actually going to do now is we are going to go to Gimp, and we're going to select File, Open, and find our images. I'll go in here, IUV layout, I'll select this. Select open. If you don't know, Gimp is a free open source image manipulation program. File, open, just color. Oh, I thought I clicked it. What's going on here? Screen capture or something messing up. Okay, there we go. So here's that. File, open. And we'll go out here. We need the material diffuse color. Material diffuse color, and we'll select enter to open that as well. Okay, so we'll deal with the eye texture that we need. So we'll click here. I'm gonna hold Control and roll my mouse. The screen capture keys are. I just upgraded to Windows 10, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. Deal with it. Click new layer here. I'll fill the new layer with, oops. I'm going to hit Control, comma, fill with white, select here. It's interesting, I don't know if it's screen capture or what. What's up? Okay, we'll work with it. I'm going to select here. This is a thing I made for an eye off a David Ward tutorial that I learned it in a while ago. Edit copy. I'm gonna come over here, edit, paste into, and okay, it wasn't Windows 10. It was apparently Cam Studio was stopping me. I'm gonna press Shift T to shrink this down. I'm gonna lower the opacity here. Press enter. Select here the move tool. Whoops. Select here. Press enter. Move this over here. I'll lower the opacity down, and if you unwrapped like I showed you, this is the colored part. You can just trust me on that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to turn off the screen capture temporarily and set this up, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm having some issues with moving my layers in Gimp, but this right here is the setup for the eye. So we're going to click File, Export As, and this is the eye layout, but we can change this to the eye. We'll put this as eye color, use 1. Put this over here and select export, or hover my mouse here and press enter. Hover my mouse here. It's a little bit different than I'm used to. Anyway, okay, what you're looking at here is the belt and the collar UV. I have a color right here, so for the belt I just want it black, so I'm going to select my brush here. It's going to let me. That's interesting. It's not Gimp, I'm not sure what is going on here. Control Shift A. I think it's a screen capture. Okay, basically, and I guess with Windows 10 is not, I don't know if it's that or not, but anyway, I'm gonna put black here and put some different color right here, and I'll be right back. Okay, what you see here is I put this black color in for the belt. I put in this color for the collar. So now I'm just going to select File, Export As, and this is the material diffuse color. I'm going to put _B, and now press enter, and then export that out. So now we'll go back to Blender. Okay, here we are back in Blender. So we're going to select here, pull the make this window the full window. We're gonna click here, go into cycles, gonna zoom back. I'm gonna right click here to put a 3D cursor there. I'm gonna press Shift A. I'm gonna put a plane in. I'm gonna press S to scale. I'm going to select material, new, diffuse, change this to emission. I'm going to press Shift A, put another plane in, push this down. We're putting this here so that we have light to bounce off of here in cycles. I'm going to click here. If you have a NVIDIA 630 card or above, you can, I believe, turn on your GPU. Just makes things tend to run faster. Change this to new window. Okay, we're going to select, make sure we're on render. We're going to scroll down, take our samples, and turn them up to 100 here for preview and 100 for render. Okay, and just so you can see what we have now, I'm going to click here, make sure I turn off ambient occlusion. Then I'm going to press Shift Z, holding Shift and middle mouse button to pan. So that's what we have right now. Okay, so I'm going to press Shift Z. Okay, and what we're going to do is we are going to hover our mouse here, pull this to the side. We're going to hover over this triangular shape here, pull this down, and zoom this down here. Hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. We're going to pull the triangle again here, hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan here. For this, I'm going to hover my mouse here, press T, zoom in so we can get a look at what we're doing here. We're going to click here and change this to the node editor. So we'll click back on our character mesh. We'll click use nodes, then use nodes in here as well. We'll zoom in. So currently for here we just see, diffuse, BSDF, and a material output node. Okay, we're gonna zoom in. I'm gonna hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm gonna select on our hair. And whoops. Hover my mouse wheel here and just roll the mouse. Select material and select new. We see the same thing for our hair. Then I'm gonna select this eye. And you can see by the origin point, that's how you know that we are actually selected on the eye, even though it's hard to see. Select new right here for this. And you can see as we put a new material on each object, some nodes pop up over here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is zoom in this window here, which will stay in solid mode, and this one we'll hover our mouse here, press shift Z so we can see what's going on. So for here we're going to need to add, choose add input, choose a texture coordinate. Okay, now we're going to add a glossy shader. Roll the mouse wheel here, click here and change this to Beckman. Okay, what I'm going to do now is hold Alt. Then while holding Alt, I'm going to pull my right mouse button down to here, and what this will do, as soon as I let go, it'll automatically make a mix node. Very cool. Learned that from Wayward Blender Company, some new website. These guys are putting out some good tutorials. Anyways, we need that. We're gonna select add shader, texture, image texture. Been working on this for a while, as you guys can probably tell. I'm starting to get tired. Okay, so what we need from here, from the texture coordinate, we're gonna select from the UV into the vector output here. For this, we're gonna select open. We're looking for our IUse1. We click here, we can actually see all of our different things here. So we're gonna select this and click open. Now we're gonna connect this into here. Okay, and we'll take this factor of this mix shader up to about 7. Okay, now that we have that eye set up, what we're going to do is zoom in here, hold shift and middle mouse button. We're going to select this eye first, hold shift and middle mouse button to pan. Then I'm going to hold shift and select this eye. You can tell from the origin point that I have this eye selected now. So you want the eye that you want the materials on, you select that first, and then you select the object, which in this case is the eye that has the material, second, and then you press Control L, and that brings up your Make Links panel, and then you choose Object Data, and then now you can see that this eye now has the same materials as the other eye. Hair, and you know what? Okay, we're gonna click Add Input Texture Coordinate. Add Texture, Image Texture. Add Shader, choose glossy, very similar to like before. Just like before, we're gonna hold Alt, hold the right mouse button, pull down. So now we have our mix shader automatically connected up to this. Okay, and similar to before, we're gonna go to UV, connect this to vector. We're gonna click here. And this is a hair texture that I actually made in Gimp. I showed how to make that in another tutorial. I'll put a link up so you can get to that tutorial, but we're gonna select this, choose open, and now we are going to go from color here into color here. Okay, and what we want to do now is this factor controls this right here, how much of this is influencing this. So we're going to take this factor up to about 7. Okay, so now we're going to zoom back here. Hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan up. You can see like right here were some of our main wrinkles, which of course aren't there now. So we're going to zoom over here so that you can see. Holding shift and middle mouse button to pan. So I'm going to select here. So we have a similar setup to before, just a basic diffuse going into the material output. Okay, and with this we have a similar setup that we need. So it's add input, texture coordinate, add texture, image texture, and you also need add vector normal map, okay, we're going to press Shift D and duplicate this image texture here. Okay, and basically what's going on here is this should be our color diffuse or diffuse colors. This is going to be our ambient occlusion, and this is our normal map. So we need to press Shift D to bring out another image texture for the normal map. Okay, so we're going to go from the UV here to vector there, and also to the vector here. Here we're going to click open. We're going to look for our material diffuse color B. Yep, that's the one. Select open. We're now going to look for our ambient occlusion actual character mesh, which is here. Okay, so here we're going to look for our normal map. So we'll click here, select here. We have actual normal map. We'll select there, select open image, and we'll tie from the normal map here. We'll take the color into the color here for this normal map. We'll move this over a little bit here. The normal map will go into the normal for the fuse. We're going to hover our mouse here, hold Alt, hold the right mouse button, pull down, and that automatically gives us a mix shader. Remember, this one right here is controlled by this factor as well as this right here. So we're going to change this to overlay. Then we're going to plug this into color here. It's a little hard to see. Okay, so what we'll do is zoom back. Hold the mouse button, turn to the side. We'll select here. We're going to press Shift D, left click to lock in. Hopefully you can see this. I know that's small. I'm going to press R to rotate on the X axis. This light is now in the way of our camera. So with this light selected, I'm going to select here, scroll down, go to ray visibility, and then I'm going to select camera so that we can see there. I'm going to select this light. I'm going to press S to scale it down. Then I'm going to select the material and turn it up to 2.3 and left click to lock in. Okay, and I'm going to actually hover my mouse wheel here, select render. I'm going to take this preview here, put on 1,000, and now I'm going to press shift space to make this full screen. No issue there. I'm shifting the mouse button to pan, and you can see as these samples go up, you can see our normal map here. Holding shift and the mouse button to pan, and we are done with, you know, some little things like that. But we covered a lot of ground. We went over modeling, you know, the hair, the clothes, normal maps, ambient occlusion, a lot of good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. That's it for the tutorial. And for all of those of you out there who like the videos on this channel and reshare them, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And to those of you who are new to this channel, if you like the videos on this channel and you would like to see more, please subscribe. Also, I have a support button on my YouTube homepage, and if you would like to support this channel with a donation of any amount, you know, any amount would be greatly appreciated. And as always, guys, thanks for viewing.